Hey, this is the first of a series of devlogs that I will be doing for our game currently titled Leap Pond. And I'm going to go over some of the stuff that I've worked on in the past week and also cover some of the stuff that I've worked on the, over the break that we are coming out of right now. But yeah, to begin, first we've of course got the game. I'm working right now on the launch rune system um, to make it work a bit more logically, and then have the runes independently apply force instead of the player doing it to themselves, so that we can take rigid body objects, put them into the launch runes, and they will be shot. Um, Currently, even though last week the launch runes did work, right now they're not. Don't worry, that's easy. I'll be able to get that soon enough. I was just working on other stuff. But yeah, right now, if I take a launch rune, I will put one here and then another here. What happened there? I left clicked to put that one and then right click to put that one, and then you'll see that little red circle appear right there. We'll get to that, but right now I'm still working on getting that to work. But as you can see, the runes do not currently work. I will put down. I'm gonna put down the rest of the runes in this that I can. And I put that one on top of my head. I did. So now, right now I'm scrolling with the mouse wheel. So if I scroll down, huh? Yesterday the scroll was working correctly. Now it seems to be inverted. Very interesting. I'll have to look into that later. Um, but yeah, so there's something you might notice. I'm moving that and I'm moving that, and it's always moving the same one. And here's the trick. If I scroll to a different one of these squares, now I have a different set that I am moving, and if I scroll to this one, once again, a different set. Um, this, I think, is going to be a bit better than the linear way. Well, not necessarily better. Honestly, there is the simplicity of the older system is still tempting, but it was a bit harder to manage certain things. This gives me a bit more control over each individual runes and making sure that, and more consistency in when they're launching towards each other. Um, Here, I will get into that though. So, so, the code, what has changed is this is just the wrong script. Why is that? Okay, so in the code, what has changed is definitely all of the stuff involving how the launch runes generally work. You'll see here, there's a new array called the LC rune set, launch catch rune sets, and it only stores the what's it called the launch rune, the bigger of the two, but you can get the component for the rune behavior, and you can call a method called get catch, and that will return the corresponding catch rune, which is stored during instantiation, during this when the spawn runes are still being called and the maximum runes has not been met yet, because that system still is relatively similar. Um, but yeah, this is the biggest difference. Um, Now when the buttons are clicked, so when primary or secondary is called with mouse 1 or mouse 2, you will then instead call um, these. It will store the launch and catch runes that are relevant as aimed at by the as chosen by the squares that you scroll towards. I'll make the UI more legible. Trust me here. And that is what then you can call. So this is what stores it into LCR, and then when it's time to start moving, a click stores yeah, in this temporary launch catch temporary, and then you can use that to call and move stuff as necessary. I'm working, and when I say working, I mean mentally working through the logic right now of how this is going to work. Right now, an issue is that you can't move anything until you place all three runes, which isn't necessarily optimal so much as it is easy to understand. Right now, the plan is I think I'm going to change it to you have the mouse, I mean the scroll wheel thing with the squares, and I think I'm gonna have like three levels of indication, and this may just make it overly complicated, and I might actually roll the script back to what I did over break, and this entire week is wasted. You know, sometimes this shit happens. Um, but what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have one level of these squares indicate whether a rune already exists. So let's say that you have three maximum runes, then you'll have three different colored squares, and they will have, say, a square within that that is black, and once and then a square, and then like a little indicator next to these three squares that says this is the one that you have selected. So let's say that this one is the purple rune with a black square because it hasn't been placed yet. Then you'd place it once you get both the launch and the catch down. This is going to turn white. The black is going to turn white. It'll stay purple to indicate which rune it is, and I'm going to make it so that the runes also change color, you know. Um, and then hopefully that will be enough indication and clarity over which runes you have in control and yada yada. Uh, Something that's bugging me. I call me a Dead Space fan, but I don't like overly intrusive UI, so I've been trying to avoid that, and this is a very complex UI thing. Well, relative to not having UI. So trying to think of a way to get this to look and feel very natural and logical, where it's not gonna be confusing for new players, is gonna be interesting and probably just iteration, right? But who knows how much time if I can stick with this. So guess we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna keep working on it, and that's really all I have to show this time. Yeah.